Chapter 6. Frantically, I ripped the blankets off my bed. In the dim light coming in through the window, I could see the rat, fat and hairy, its red eyes gleaming at me. I screamed again. Then I heard laughter down the hall. Chrissy's laughter. My stomach sank. I made my way to the switch and turned on the light. Sure enough, the rat still stared at me from my bed. But now I recognized it. A gray rubber rat, one of Claus's favorite toys. In her room down the hall, Chrissy squealed with laughter. "I'm gonna get you, you little brat!" I screamed. I thought about going down the hall and really thumping her. "Stein, you madman, you!" Moving on. But I quickly decided against it. Even though Chrissy is only 9, she happens to be pretty strong. There was an excellent chance she could beat me up. With an angry growl, I grabbed the rat off my bed and heaved into the corner of my room. Then, my heart still pounding with rage, I turned off the light and climbed back under the covers. "Tomorrow," I promised myself in the dark room. "Tomorrow, you, Gary Lutz, are going to check out that ad and find out if you can change your life. Even if it's for only a week, it has to be better than this miserable life you have now." The next day, I kept my promise to myself. After breakfast, I walked the 6 blocks to Roach Street and started reading the street numbers, trying to find number 113. I guess I was looking for some kind of big glass office building, but when I finally found number 113, it was on a small gray building that looked something like my dentist's office. A little sign on the outside read, "Person-to-person vacations, Suite 2B." I opened the door and walked up a flight of steps. At the top, I opened another door and went into a kind of waiting room with beige carpeting and tan leather chairs. A dark-haired woman sat behind a big glass window. She smiled at me when I came in, and I walked over to talk to her. "Good afternoon," she said into a microphone. I jumped. Even though the woman was right in front of me, her voice came out through a speaker on the wall. I stammered nervously. "I came about the message on the electron bulletin board." "Oh, yes," the woman replied with another smile. "A lot of people learn about us from the computers. Pardon me for staying behind this glass shield, but the equipment behind me is so delicate, we have to be very careful about protecting it." I peered over the woman's shoulder. I could see gleaming metal counters and a wall of electronic equipment, including what appeared to be heart monitors, video screens, X-ray machines, and cameras. It looked like something right out of Star Trek. I suddenly had a heavy feeling in my stomach. Maybe this is a bad idea, I thought. You probably don't like kids hanging around here," I stammered. I started backing away toward the door. "Not true," she said. "Many of our customers are young people such as you. A lot of kids are interested in changing places with someone else for a week. What did you say your name was?" "Gary. Gary Lutz." "Nice to meet you, Gary. My name is Miss Carmen." Miss Carmen spelled with a K, by the way. "How old are you? About 12? I nodded. "Come over here for a minute," Miss Carmen said, motioning with her hand. Cautiously, I walked back over to the glass booth. She opened a little slide at the bottom of her window and pushed out a book. I picked it up and saw that it was a photo album, like the one my parents had from their wedding. I opened it and started looking through it. "It's kids!" I exclaimed. "All about my age." "Correct," said Miss Carmen. "They're all interested in switching lives with someone else for a week." "Wow!" I studied the album. A lot of the kids in the pictures look big and strong and cool. Kids like that wouldn't be afraid of anything, I told myself. I wonder what it would be like to be like one of them. "You can pick a boy, or even a girl for that matter, to trade places with for a week," Miss Carmen was saying. "But how does it work?" I asked. "Do I just go to take over somebody's room and live in his house for a week? Go to his school? Wear his clothes?" The woman laughed. "It's far more interesting than that, Gary. But for getaway vacations, you actually become the other person for a week." "Huh?" "What we have," the woman explained, "is a safe, painless way to switch one person's mind into another person's body. So while you'll know you're really you, no one else will recognize you, not even the other boy's parents." I was still confused. "But what about my body? Does it get stored here?" No. We here at Person to Person will find someone else to take over your body for a week. Your parents will never even know you're gone. I looked down at my skinny body and wondered who could possibly want to borrow for a week. Miss Carmen leaned forward in her chair. So what do you say? Are you interested, Gary? I stared into her dark brown eyes, excuse me, and swallowed hard. I broke into a cold sweat. This whole thing was really weird and scary. Uh, I said, I don't know. I mean, I'm just not sure. Don't feel bad, Miss Carmen said. Many people take some time to get used to the idea of a body switch. You can think it over for as long as you wish. She took out a small camera. But in the meantime, would you mind if I took a picture? That way we could find out if anyone's interested in being your body for a week. Well, I guess it's okay, I replied. She snapped the picture, and the flash went off in front of my eyes. But I'm still not sure I want to go through with it. There's no obligation, Miss Carmen said. Why don't we leave it this way? You fill out the form describing yourself, then I'll put your picture into our display album. And when we find someone to take your place, I'll call you to see if you made up your mind. Okay, I replied. What harm could that do? I asked myself. There was no way she would ever find anybody who would want my body for a week. I spent a few minutes filling out the form. I had to write down my name and address. Then I had to tell about all my hobbies and how well I did in school and things like that. When I was finished, I handed it to Miss Carmen, said goodbye, and headed out the door. I made it most of the way home without getting into trouble. A block and a half from my house, I ran into my three most unfavorite people in the world, Barry, Marv, and Carl. Hey guys, Barry cried with an ugly smile. The klutz is up and walking around. That must mean we didn't do a very good job of pounding them yesterday. No, I insisted. You did a good job. You did a very good job, guys. I guess they didn't believe me. They all jumped me at once. When they were finally finished, about 5 minutes later, I lay on the ground and watched them walk away through one swollen black eye. Have a nice day, Marv called back to me. All three of them roared with laughter. I sat up and pounded the ground with my fists. I'm sick of this, I wailed. I want to be somebody else. Anybody else. Slowly and painfully, I dragged myself to my feet. I'm doing it, I decided, and nobody's going to stop me. Tomorrow, I'm going to call person-to-person vacations. I want them to put me into somebody else's body as soon as they can.